Welcome to Heal the World Show podcast, brought to you by the Healing Institute. I'm Parmelia Parham, and I am the founder and the CEO of the Healing Institute. We are an online, worldwide hub of holistic practitioners, and we really want to make an impact on healing and health in the world. Presently, we have 6 practitioners representing 10 countries, and we are looking at having my vision is for it to be in 20 plus countries and over 200 practitioners. So yes, we are looking to make healing and health in the world as a proactive way on our healing journey and on our health journey, because we're all on a health journey. Now, why is this so important to me? Well, we had a tragedy in our family a number of years ago when my mom passed away at a very young age due to complications because of a medication that she had been on for a long time. And not once was she ever informed that being on this medication for a long time could compromise her kidneys. And so unfortunately, we lost her right before Christmas. It was December the 15th. At the time, I was 5 months pregnant with my son. And I say it's not only a tragedy that she died so young, but also it's a tragedy because my children never got to meet their grandmother. And I really don't want that happening for any other families. So I've been using holistic health and well-being for well over 30 years, and I know it works. And so that's why we are really, really passionate about educating people about how to be well and how to stay well. And this is one of the ways we do it through our podcast, Heal the World Show podcast, which is every Friday morning at 9 a.m. on Pacific time. And each week I invite someone as my guest co-host to come and talk about their area of expertise. And actually today is our 74th episode. So we have been doing this for now a year and a half. And December, I decided the theme was going to be the Giving Month. And so I am so delighted to have my dear friend, Barb Ashcroft, as my guest co-host today. She is an amazing giving person, and she also has a compassion in action is one of the things that she does. So welcome, Barb. It's so lovely to have you here, and just tell us a little bit about you.
Well, thank you, Parmelia. It's a joy to be with you always. And this is a special invitation. Thank you so much. A little bit about me. Well, try and do a real Reader's Digest version here. Um, many years ago, I got into wellness through, like many do, through the back door by my own health decline. And at that point in time, I just, um, well, let me summarize it this way, that I think when the student is ready, the teacher will appear.
Absolutely.
And I was blessed to have amazing people to introduce me to a better way, a healthier way, a holistic way of repairing myself, because actually my mindset was, taking my body in for the lube oil filter change, like the car, every 6 months to the doctor. And because I was going to surgeons, it wasn't surprising I was having a surgery every 6 months. So that was just my uh, where I was at. But when you know more, when you really do a lot better. And so that was my beginning into natural health. And I just used me as a guinea pig. And it was absolutely amazing. I love to learn. I always will be a lifelong learner. And so at that point in time, I was studying herbology, iridology, live blood cell analysis, kinesiology, Touch for Health, and all kinds of modalities that I got certified in, and became a natural practitioner across Western Canada and into Washington, which was profound, and just such a joy to, you know, there's a saying, and it says, your talent is God's gift to you. What you do with it is your gift back to God. And that it's a giving month. And so
I
I,
love that quote. That's beautiful. I have heard that in the past, and I'm so glad that you quoted it today, because it is so very true. And you were talking about education, and that is one of the reasons I called the Healing Institute an institute, because I'm very passionate about educating about the education component of wellness and health. And we've been, raised in a society for the last 50 years where we, just like you said, you went to the doctor. You thought the doctor was going to be able to give you all the answers. And yes, they do give us some answers, but it's not always exactly what we need if we're just being treated on a symptom, not on the root cause. And that's what's so important for the Healing Institute, and certainly for our practitioners who actually get to the root cause of what's going
yeah,
on. So I
yes,
really see us as a bridge. The Healing Institute is a bridge between the allopathic way that we've been for the last 50 years and the holistic way, because
mhm,
we need to work together.
yes, and that's been a lifelong dream of mine as well. And what I've been really encouraging all the people that I come in contact with is be your own best advocate. You're the only one living in this entity, and so you have a say. And so do learn, do your own self-care, and really flourish in that you do have power. You do have power to say no, yes, maybe, whatever, but uh, be your own best advocate. So what what is more for me, Permelia, more than anything, I think, and maybe it's because of, you know, the age I am and my peers, I'm really focused on, it's funny, I pulled up this word of the week, trust. Well, that's been my word of the year. It seems I've had to really learn trusting again. But what I'm finding is there's so many people out there that have a fear consciousness, whether that's related to aging. When they think of aging, they think of deterioration. They think of my family had this, whatever disease, so I'm going to get it eventually. And I just am at the point in my walk that I want to say, no, you don't, you don't have to end up with that. You can age gracefully. You can actually reverse aging if you have some tools and some new mindsets to be able to do that. So I'm very grateful for the resilience and inner strength that I've been able to gain through my hills and valleys in my life. Obviously, now in my uh, uh, mid 70s, I'm finding many of those missing parts that got removed have, you know, had a reason. They had a
Yeah.
purpose. And
Well, and I'm
that,
so glad that you mentioned mindset, because
mhm,
that is what is so important, is, how we look at things, how we talk to ourselves,
mhm,
what, the emotions and words that are going through our brains and our bodies, and how we think about aging. And certainly, a lot of the aging that we've experienced with other people, and certainly family members, has
mhm,
been that old paradigm. You
yes,
you got old, you got weak, you got a disease of some kind, and you didn't have any quality of life. And I love what you're doing, Barb, because you are really helping people see the difference, how that mindset shift, of seeing the difference. I loved Dr. Bruce Lipton. He's one of my people I follow all the time. I know you know about him. And when I first heard this phrase, I was like, oh my gosh. But he says there is, the people say, well, I'm going to get this condition, disease, we can call it a disease, because it was in my family. And he's like, there is no gene. There is no family gene for cancer, for example. There is no family gene that says, yes, well, you've now got that family gene. So then therefore you're going to have this result. And,
Mhm.
that's pretty dramatic
Yeah.
because that's not how, we've been taught. We've been taught that
No.
if it was in your family, we're going to get it. And
Hmm.
I had a experience recently where my cholesterol was up a little bit, and the doctor wanted to add together the fact that there was diabetes in my family. Now, I don't have diabetes, type 2 diabetes, but he wanted to add those two things together. That was his justification for then saying I should be on a statin. And I said, no, because I knew my body. And that is, I think, believe what you're saying too, is be your own advocate, know your body, do your research, find
Hmm.
out what your numbers are when it comes to, your A1C and your cholesterol numbers, know, and your blood pressure, know what those numbers are for you and how, and then that for me are tools. Those are
Yeah.
tools that I've
Right.
used in the past.
Well, with myself, I really try and switch people's paradigm in that well, 13 years ago, I was sharing stem cell nutrition with people. We brought it into Canada, and it was profound because it was helping their body with more stem cells, which is your repair system. And the body is so amazingly brilliant.
Yes.
It sends these little worker bees to what the priority is. And so I was seeing thousands of people having amazing, amazing results. And it just, of course, doing live blood analysis and iridology and all that I had in my, quiver as
In your
far as
toolkit,
tools.
in your
Yeah,
toolkit.
that, I had an understanding of how the body works,
Mhm.
but it was profound to see just how blessed we are with the body if we work with it. So I was sharing with individuals, and I still share with them that, they're not age related diseases. When we get past 30, our own stem cell repair quantity, our ATM, if you want to put it that way, diminishes to quite a degree. And after 60, it's less and less and less. But if you can support your body to support its natural ability to reverse the age of the stem cells you have and activate them and make them healthier, that's your repair system. So I see many of those ailments that we get a name to, that it's not age-related disease, it's stem cell deficiency.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
so
So
if you
important.
can up your ATM of your own repair system, your body knows what it needs to work on. And so that's a paradigm that that I've been sharing for some time, and loving the new science, the absolutely new science we have access to, where we're not needing injections and all that kind of thing with that. But what you mentioned is so key, that mindset, you know, what we're speaking to ourselves, what we're speaking to others, what we're allowing other people around us to say that we accept. And that's a real push for me, is that no, they're all in this frantic search. I shouldn't say they, but whoever is in this frantic search for the name. What's the name of the disease that I've got? Well, how about just working with your body? How
Yes.
about giving it the tools for it to do a better job? and, you know, just proceed that way and just do all out wellness, whole wellness.
All wellness. Well, and we know there are, there's our examples of people who had an illness, but their bodies were working with the illness until the doctor gave it a name. And then as soon as the doctor gave it a name, then that's where, of course, where their shift went.
Mhm.
And so then they started to decline because all of a sudden they had this negative name
Right.
that
Yeah.
they could then identify, oh, that's what's wrong with me, rather than just allowing their bodies to naturally start to heal. And
Mhm.
this isn't something that we're taught. Again, this is not something that we've been raised with, I would say, for the last 50 years. Um, and so people like Joe Dispenza, who had a very serious accident and had many bones in his body broken, and he was able to heal himself with meditation and rest because he knew what his body could do. And so, those are stories we need to tell people so that people
Mhm.
get the idea and understand how amazing our bodies are and that we can repair ourselves uh, given all the right tools. We need the
Yeah.
tools, obviously, but
Yes.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So I'd love for you to explain a little bit about your compassion in action, and how you use that, since we are in the giving month of December.
Okay. Thank you. Well, I was listening, this is a couple of years ago now, and I was listening to a video by Brene Brown. She was talking on what is sympathy. And so she just, was describing sympathy, and then there's empathy. Uh, and so it really got me thinking, and I was also uh, doing a Bible study of Max Lucado's book, and he had just I find it's very divine when you open a book of what you're, and it's right there in front of you. And he had an insert saying, compassion, we've got sympathy, we've got empathy, and then we have compassion. But he said, we all have different impressions of what that is. But he said, God's view of compassion is always followed by action.
Mm, yeah.
And so that's where the compassion in action came from, because at that very uh, juncture in my life, I had uh, four friends that became widows within 6 weeks. And I wanted to be able to serve them, but I suffered from what's out there, another epidemic, and it's called illiteracy. We don't know
Mhm.
what to say, we don't know what to do, we don't know how to support, we don't know how to serve, so we do nothing. And so there's collateral damage everywhere. And so at that point in time, I just felt, okay, because I'm being that lifelong learner, somebody must know. Somebody must know. So I started my passion project of finding how to support these people. And I interviewed, like you're doing here on Zoom, I interviewed people that sit across the desk from grieving individuals
Mm.
for all those questions that go through a person's mind when they have a huge loss. So, you know, I was a couple, now I'm a single. What do I do financially? What about legally? What about all those things? And met some marvelous people and put that together into, you know, newsletters, etc., for individuals and some tools, another toolkit so
Yeah.
that people are equipped. So that's been marvelous. But now what I'm finding so much, the compassion is action in action is actually a bigger part of all my training with all my health care, all my wellness training,
Right.
because it's all about supporting them to become a whole individual. Doesn't Everybody's gone through loss. We're all grieving something.
Yeah.
Many of us lost a business during COVID. Many people lost a partner or lost health or lost whatever. But it's a case of having some tools in your toolbox to be able to do that. And so I created some uh, other tips, which I call from chaos to calm, just to give people some working tools because mental health has been such a
So
challenge for
important.
individuals
Mhm.
with all I mean, we're all cloistered and we're meant to be together. So
Yeah.
I'm building a community of people that really want to share, care to share, love to share, and we're all learning together.
And learning how to support each other.
Mhm.
And so I love your tool boxes and your toolkits, because those are the things that we can reach out when we maybe don't know what to say to someone who's had a significant loss. But we can show up with the tools that you've created, so that we're giving them that support that they need, rather than just leaving them in isolation, which happens just so many times and way too often. Even when my mom passed 30 some odd years ago, there wasn't a lot of people that really were able to support me, um, in my grief, other than my immediate family, which was wonderful to have them there.
Mhm.
But there was what I would call, I thought they were friends,
Mhm.
who,
Mhm.
just didn't want to have a conversation with me about it. And of course, when
Right,
you're in that grieving process, you really need to talk about it. You want to talk about it. So
right.
that
Yes,
is
and
so
learning how to talk about it is just powerful. I recall two incidents. One, this very accomplished uh, woman entrepreneur on the mainland had lost her husband, and she shared with me that she was walking down the street and she saw someone she knew that crossed over to the other side to avoid her.
Mhm.
And uh, you know, another aspect is some of my contacts within the grief community say that your address book shrinks.
Yeah.
And so we need each other, and we especially need each other when we've gone through loss. And like I said, it doesn't have to be just the loss of an individual, a loved one, or a pet, but lots of losses out there. So just being able to hold people up
Mhm.
when
Yeah.
they're going through that is so
Yeah,
powerful.
absolutely. Scaffolding, I love that word, where
Mhm.
you're being the scaffold for someone to, sometimes just to be, just to
Mhm.
know that you're there with, a cup of tea or a hug or just a warm word. And
Mhm.
that is just so very, very important. When we're at this time of the year, we think of giving as things. But I have a list of what I call giving, where, it's not things. You can give, half an hour of your time or 10-minute phone call to
Mhm.
someone. I'm thinking, because here we're in Canada, we're having a postal strike right now, and
Mhm.
I don't send out a lot of Christmas cards, but I do, like, there's certain people that I know appreciate those. Well, I'm making a list right now. I'm gonna have a phone call with those people that I haven't been able to,
Nice.
because really sometimes this is the only time of the year that we communicate, back and forth. So
Mhm.
I'm just thinking that, yeah, that would be great. That would be awesome, just to have a phone call, and have a phone visit, and
Mhm.
and just let people know, reaching out to people to let them know that you're thinking about them, and
Mhm.
And that's what, for me, that's what the giving, this month of giving is all about.
Well, that you've just given me a big nudge. 2 years ago, when I started my Compassion in Action, I created some daily posts. I believe they were on Facebook, and they were things you can do. I think it was 15 days of something you can do for someone that's grieving. And I'm going to go back and revisit those, Permelia, and I'm going to
Yeah,
put them up
that would be a
either
great list.
because could be as easy as just, uh, picking someone up and taking them for a drive so
Yeah,
they can get I mean,
absolutely.
there's so many easy things that can be done. So
Mhm.
thank you for that reminder. I'm going to go revisit that because it was well received, and I think maybe it's time to do it again.
Time to bring out that list again, Barb.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for being my guest co-host today. It's uh well, as you know, you are a very dear friend,
Mm.
and I really love you a lot. So I'm really, really delighted that you were able to be part of our giving month, and December, and this podcast, which is, we really want to make a difference in the world when it comes to healing and health. And it's a big job. And I need people like you in my toolbox to help us make this happen. And I say, often we have a big ask. We really do want to make an impression on health and healing in the world. And so please, anybody who's watching this, um, share it with your community, with your family, with your colleagues. Let people know that the Healing Institute exists, that we have these amazing practitioners, and also, get in touch with us. Get in touch with Barb. We've got Barb's contact information, her LinkedIn contacts, and also we'll be putting this in the chat, and in the recording. When I stop the recording, it'll be on YouTube, and then I will be sharing it later this afternoon again. So thank you so much, Barb, for being part of today's wonderful uh, podcast. And we really do, one of our motto with at the Healing Institute is service with love. And I truly, truly believe that um, the love that we share with our community, the love that we receive from God and our higher power, that is what is needed in the world. And I know for sure, Barb, that is what you emulate that. So again, thank you so much for being here,
Oh,
and we will be seeing you next Friday on the Heal the World Show podcast. That'll be our last one for December, for 2024. I'm going to take a couple weeks break, and then we'll be back in 2025 every Friday morning at 9 a.m. Pacific time. So I'm going to say goodbye. Any last words that you have, Barb?
oh, goodness. Just, when you're grateful, fear disappears and abundance appears. So let's all work towards being grateful. Thank you.
I love that. Yes, gratitude, so important. All right. We'll see you next week on Heal the World Show podcast.